listen to one presentation from Nigerian Agricultural Plantain Service.
Thank you very much, and good afternoon, everyone. I want to permit me to stand on the existing protocols, please. This presentation is a paper by the Nigerian Agricultural Plantain Service. It's going to be on the black soldier fly larvae and emerging export potential. First of all, the Nigerian Agricultural Plantain Service we want to congratulate the Entomological Society of Nigeria on the occasion of their 52nd National Conference. We also want to appreciate this slot given out to us for this presentation. So let's have a little brief on what the Nigerian Agricultural Plantain Service is. Nigerian Agricultural Plantain Service is an agency of the federal government under the Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Food Security. And we are saddled with the responsibility of preventing the introduction, spread, and establishment of exotic pests and diseases of animal products, plant products, aquatic resources into and out of the country. We also enhance the safe export of agro-commodities. We are a science-based agency, so we usually do this by carrying out scientific inspection, laboratory analysis, treatment, and certification of these products before they go in or they come into the country. We also ensure compliance to international standards. Our head office is in Abuja. It's in the Central Business District, Abuja, just very close to or beside the Ministry of Finance. We also have regional offices in the 6 geopolitical zones of Nigeria. So our operational areas, we're actually a paramilitary agency, and we operate, you will see us at every point of entry and exit of the country. So we found at the international airports, the seaports, international land borders, designated interstate control posts. And our officers man the stations 24 hours, usually carrying out inspection, monitoring, and surveillance of pests and diseases on agro-commodities that are meant for import or exports. So now, the fly of interest to us is the black soldier fly. Please just permit me to just go on the economic or the export potentials of this, because I'm before distinguished entomologists, I do not know about the fly. So this is a larvae of interest to us. Yeah. This fly, the BSFL, that's the larvae of the black soldier fly, is very rich in crude protein, about 72 to 65%, and it's definitely a very good alternate source of protein in animals. So now the export potentials of BSFL. I want to appreciate the keynote speaker. Prof did a lot of explanation of the economic importance of fly. So this is just one of the flies he mentioned there, and this is a developmental stage of the larvae that is so important to us that we believe can fetch very good economic returns to the country. So the BSFL fly, when converted to processed animal protein, has great export potentials in the international markets, and this is something that is not being explored at the moment. It yields good financial returns. We know what the Naira is speaking in relation to the dollar. So definitely, earning in dollar at the moment is something that everybody wants to go into. It's a feed for aquaculture. That's what is commonly known in our environment, but it's also good food for pet animals. The processed animal protein, also known as PAP, can be presented in 2 forms. It's either as a whole dried larvae or in the fatted meal. Now for the breeding of BSFL, we are interested in the export aspect of it. So for the breeding, we will, for the breeding of BSFL, that the black soldier fly larvae, we desire that the fly are farmed, they are bred. We do not want the larvae to be harvested from those sites or garbage or elsewhere, the flies must be cultivated. So these are the different units where the fly could be, where the different stages of breeding of the fly. The first is the insectarium. Here the adult fly lay eggs, and after they lay eggs within egg matrix, after 72 hours, that's 72 hours after mating, we now go for the incubation. These eggs are scooped out of the egg matrix and then taken into incubation. Within a period of 72 hours, the neonates emerge from it. These neonates are now taken into the neonatal rearing unit. In this unit, it's basically a time for feeding. So organic substrate is what is given to this neonates. And there's an increase in size. Within a period of 5 days, from 20 micrograms, they become about 20 milligrams, which is quite a lot. That's at day 5. Then at they are not shifted to the larvarium. In this place, it's continuous feeding still. And the 5-day-old larvae have to be fed till they become 12-day-old, and they increase in size to about 180 milligrams. At this point, the growth of the larvae is terminated. For the larvae that you intend to process into pap, the growth is terminated. Then for those that have to complete the cycle so that there's a propagation of the life cycle, they continue the process. Now, there's a conversion of BSFL to pap. That's a processed dried larvae. The 12-day-old larvae that is subvested is, it's harvested together with the waste materials, what we call the frass. So it is first of all separated from it, then we now have the old larvae. Now, if I want to do the old dried larvae, what I have to do is just wash it, sanitize it, then oven dry it. After oven drying it, making sure there's no more moisture content in it. The crude protein at this point is about 45 to 55%, and a fat content of about 29%. Going further, if I want to make it a defatted meal, I wash, I sanitize, then the larvae is passed through a digester, after which it now goes to an extractor. The extractor extracts the oil. After the extractor extracts the oil out of the larvae, the digested larvae, then it is the defatted cake is now dried. After it's now dried, and at this point, the crude protein is about 13%, because the fat level is about 13% because a lot of fat has been taken out, and it has a crude protein of about 58 to 65%. When the process is finished, for the purpose of exports, for every production batch, we usually pass it through microbial analysis. So we analyze for salmonella and for enterobacteriaceae, and the result must be certified negative before it can be packaged. Packaging is usually done in new, clean, sterilized packaging materials, and these are also to be waterproof. Then a label has to be attached to the package with very important information, because for the sake of traceability, we want to know when they get out there, they want to be able to trace it to the exact farm where it came from. These are examples of properly packaged, dried, all dried larvae, because they're still in the old form, they've not been defatted. You can still see the visible shape of the larvae, but they're dried. The defatted meal is always a finer particle. So these are examples of how they are packaged. Then the role of NAQS in the export of pap. NAQS is a federal government approved agency for the export and import of agro-commodities. We usually give a step-by-step approach to all intending exporters from the farm to the destination countries. That's why we keep advising intending exporters, come to us at the very beginning, because we guide you through. We also help intending exporters to meet up the export requirements of the destination countries. This is because requirements varies from country to country. Country A might desire this, country B might desire a different thing. So we always help to meet up those requirements. We also do inspections and certifications of the farms, the facilities, and the products. And after these inspections, we now issue what we call the sanitary and the phytosanitary certificates. And these are very, very important accompanying documents before these products can go into the countries we want to. So at the moment, NHS is actually trying to, we're working with the EU authorities to get the country listed as a third country for the import of black soldier fly larvae. And I believe very shortly, when the process is completed, we will be able to register farms around us that we've inspected and certified fit for the export of this product. Conclusion. In a bid to promote the non-oil exports in Nigeria, the SFL trade is a gold mine that is yet to be explored. Although it has a great market demand in Nigeria, with the supply still not meeting the demand, fresh PSFL is constantly used as a source of protein in aquaculture in Nigeria. And we believe that with a little value addition to the product, by converting it into PAP, that's processed animal protein, we can transcend international markets, making good profits. Thank you very much.
We want to appreciate that presentation from Valentine. Abi? Yes, we appreciate it. And she spoke about what now? Black soya. We can now see that not all insects are destructive. Not all insects are mosquitoes. Not all insects are what? Housefly. We have some that are what? Beneficial, and one of them is what? Our black soya fly. And we have some other ones like that. Our bees, we also have some products that are beneficial from the bee quickly. So we want to appreciate you. But she mentioned some things with regards to export. We have export requirements, and if we do not strictly follow the requirements, our products may be rejected, even when it has gotten there. That is why we need to follow the requirements. Having said that, we want to do something in the next 15 minutes. We spoke about our national secretariat. It's important to us, and it's important to anybody that loves insects, anybody that loves society. And we also have our journal. Can I have the journal? We have the let me just have 3 copies that we also want to launch. We are not going to waste time. We'll just go to our friends. This is volume 37. We are going to do 2 things together. Where are the ushers? Let them take trace to our friends. Please just write on a sheet of paper our fellows and our sponsors, whatever thing we want to do for the society. Just indicate for the National Secretariat, maybe 500,000 National Secretariat. For the journal, you can just indicate maybe 250,000 for 2 journals or for 5. But if you need more than 2, you can just tell us. We are going to take 2, and you can take 2, but if you need more than 2, you can indicate there that I want to give certain amount for 5. But just write it on a sheet of paper. People here are people that are trustworthy. Whatever they write, we are sure they will apply it. They will redeem it. Please. And after we have done that, we want everybody to have a copy of the journal. Where Dr. Jola? A golden fish, have no hiding. Let 3 of you go to Dr. Jola, 3 or 4 of you go with portraits. Where others say, go right to get that I want to go to Dr. They will just write on a sheet of paper. Where is Mr. Kolade Ogufodo and others, please, whatever you can do. We are talking about the Secretariat of the Interworker Society of Nigeria. Let's just indicate on a sheet of paper what we can do. And some of us have our account number. If you can display the account number, I will not mind if it is there. The account number is there. Let's see. Nispri is here, and our daddy, fellow entomologist, is behind me. We also have no hiding place. We have representative of institutions. Federal University of Agriculture. Professor Talabi, how many should they bring? Let them bring 2, please. Let's just support us, whatever you want to do. Whether on behalf of the management, I cannot call Oga or you are part of management. Yes, come on. Let's see how far you have gone, so that I'll see from the feedback. Let me see what is there. They are yet. So let's see what we can do. And then those that are also interested in the award now, the journal is also available, so that we can pick some. We have interesting publications here. We have interesting publications there that can assist us. And as we are doing that, we don't want to waste time, because after now we are still coming back for the plenary section. We want to have a break. But we want to have a presentation which is just for 5 minutes. And after that we go for our break. Then come back for our plenary section. But as they are preparing, let's still go around and get support from our people. Let's get support from our people. Where's Mr. Bolade Tokumbo? In fact, some of the honorary fellows have made promises before they left.
Thank you very much for this opportunity to make this presentation. I've been asked to make it snappy. My name is Odiapatiji Victory. I'm here representing my unit head. This is Sarah Iwajumwa, the head of Ofaba Unit, National Biotechnology Development Agency. This morning we're talking on the application of insect biotechnology in agriculture, meeting with the Zero Hunger Challenge. We are faced with hunger in Nigeria, all of us know about that. But application of agriculture, application of biotechnology in agriculture is a way that will help us come out of this hunger in a short while. In my presentation, I'm going to follow this outline. I'm going to make it brief. Next. Zero Hunger Challenge is a global initiative to eradicate hunger, improve food security, and ensure sustainable agriculture. Biotechnology is a tool used in, to alter living organisms or part of living organisms to create another organism. Then all of us know what insect is next. The insect biotechnology in agriculture. Insect biotechnology is the use of insects in various applications in agriculture to make sure there is food on everyone's table. Plays a significant role in meeting the challenge of zero hunger, and it offers a range of opportunities. Next. Now we're going to be looking at the application of insect biotechnology in agriculture. When our VC was talking in the morning, he talked about making millions using insects. This is the only way we can harvest it. It's not just about researching. It's about applying it. You can choose any of these areas to invest in, just little of your time and resources, then you will have a good outcome with good financial implications. Genetically, insects as biological pest control. When insects are genetically modified, they are made to carry some traits that make them effective pest control. Like now, you have some insects producing insecticidal protein or some toxins. Now when some crops that produce insecticidal protein, so when insects feed on them, they die. So that is a way of reducing that's the way insects act as the pest control. Next. Insects as biopesticides. Now that we are trying to reduce the use of herbicides, pesticides in our farms to make the environment more friendly, using some of the pesticides can serve to help us retain our good environment. Next. Insect as pollinator health or for crop pollination, I've talked about that. Go to the next one. For nitrogen cycling and soil health, insect helps us in aerating our soils, circulating our nitrogen, enhancing crop soil fertility, and promoting our agricultural sustainability at a lesser cost. Insect as an alternative protein source. Yes, we talked about eating some of the insects during rainy season and planting, rearing some other insects for human consumption and for animals. We listened to one of our presenters talking about using maggot meal to feed our fishes. You can process it as maggot meal, you can feed them directly. The cost of obtaining fish meal in the feed industry, the animal feed industry, is going high on a daily basis. So rearing your own insects, harvesting their larvae and the maggot, as the case may be, will reduce your cost of production, since protein in animal feed incurs more cost of production. So when you're using this insect, you're rearing it, using it as a source of protein for animal feed, it helps you to reduce your cost of production and you make more profit as a farmer. Next. Insect as a waste manager. Our insect helps to break down some organic waste materials. That is called biodegradation. It converts these wastes into protein-rich biomass, and also it helps in the nutrient recycling. Next. For climate resilience farming. Insects have been used, BT crops. Application of biotechnology on our crops has also been used to ensure climate resilient kind of farming. One of these is the production of Bacillus thuringiensis crops. This is a genetically modified kind of crops where some traits that resist insect consumption of the plant is engineered into the crop. This helps to minimize the use of pesticide on our field and also promotes the healthiness of the crops we are producing. Next. In bioremediation, insect helps to clean up the polluted environment, like the oil environment. There are some insects that are introduced into a particular soil. It brings off the oil and we recover our soil. Next. Then our success stories. There are so many success stories, but now we'll just be talking about this. The launch of the Maruca-resistant beans in Kano. There are other products, biotechnology products that have been commercialized. This is where, please go back. This is the
Give me 5 minutes.
I'm almost done. This is the launch of the Maruca-resistant beans. This beans is the commercial kind of beans produced to resist some of resist a particular insect, which is Maruca retracta, that infests the beans in the field. So when they come, they destroy up to 70 to 80% of these beans. And that has made the farmers to continually apply pesticides to reduce this. And that is why most cases we find it difficult to export our beans, because it has a lot of pesticides or residues of some chemicals in them. But the use of these genetically modified beans has made it possible for us to produce beans with less chemicals. That is, instead of spraying up to 6 to 8 times during the planting season, we'll just be left with spraying once or twice, and we'll have our good harvest. In conclusion, the application of insect biotechnology in agriculture is one of the ways to improve better livelihood and put food on everyone's table. By making food available and affordable through biotechnology application in agriculture. Individual decisions to pick up some aspects of insect application in agriculture will be great value to zero hunger challenge. Then we need to collaborate with researchers, farmers, policymakers, and other industrial stakeholders to make insect biotechnology to bring in insect biotechnology into modern agricultural practice. Thank you.
We want to appreciate National Biotechnology Center for that presentation. And some of the participants here, they have requested for the e-copy or soft copy of that presentation, and the one that was presented by Guarantine. So we will ask with them and discuss with them how we can get the soft copy so that we can send them to interested participants. Once again, we want to thank God for our patience this morning. Now we are going to have break.
Give a sort of temporary concession now to the activities. We want to break now to go for the lunch, then come back for the plenary session. We have the names of the rapporteur for each sessions. Please, you will be communicated. I'm looking for the list. It's not here, but you will be communicated while the lunch is on. We'll give you the adequate information about that. Yeah, and this is just, what's the time now? 3 o'clock. So we have just about 45 minutes to have the lunch. Then we'll now come back here. But I want Dr. Lafia and Dr. Lightwigoba to be ready. They are the one that is going to be the rapporteur for the plenary session. Then Professor Alibinga Emmanuel Adekoya will be the chairperson of that session. I want to sincerely appreciate everyone, at least for your patience and at the same time your involvement and participation in all the activities that we had during the opening ceremony. I think we can give ourselves I want to say clap offering, a round of applause. I wanted to say clap offering. So we are coming back by 2:30. 3:30. Okay, we are meeting by 3:30. Yeah. So it's not going to be a long time. So we'll take that part and go to the adjoining hall there for the lunch. Thank you very much.
Your part. Okay. So you have to tear it. Ogunbo. No, you'll be seated. Just be seated. Be seated. Don't worry. Go and get some.
Kaisa Karakuta.
No. I don't want fish.
Where's Parmesan? And I want to take some of
Where's your friend?
rice white and jollof rice. Jama fẹ́ tàmá bẹ̀rẹ̀ wọ́n ní kẹ́mí ìṣẹ̀ jollof and rice. Ní àbàlá.
Excuse me.
This is Parmesan. This is Samuel.
What's soup is that?
Please, if If you are interested in taking rice, rice is over there. Rice is over there.
Dr. Lapi, are you here? Dr. Laitugaba, is she here? Or he? Okay, somebody said, since you are here, we can start. And now over to Professor Adimonu, who will read the citation of Dr. Adedayo Oduola.
Thank you very much. That was in our time. I asked Dr. Oduola Adedayo to stand up while reading the recitation. Dr. Adedayo Oduola is a trained entomologist with a keen passion for reduction in malaria burden through the introduction of interventions based on applied knowledge of malaria, of vector ecology, behavior, and human interactions. He was a research fellow at the Nigerian Institute of Medical Research and worked as an entomologist on several projects of natural significance, funded by several agencies, including WHO, MIM, TDL, the European Union, Vestergaard, Frankenstein. He is a senior lecturer at the University of Ilorin and has taught both undergraduate and graduate students. He has supervised several and 4 doctoral students and has mentored a host of others from diverse geographical zones in Nigeria. Dr. Oduola has over 20 years of working in research institutes and in academia. He is currently with APT Associates and functions as a country director on a USAID PMI above-funded project. He has brought to fore his vast technical and managerial experience to lead a multi-centered annual and longitudinal evaluation of 16 researchers and scientists from universities working in over 91 local government areas in Nigeria. Dr. Oduola is a reviewer for several academic journal outputs, and he has over 50 published papers and several technical papers to his credit. He is married with children. And now, present to you, Dr. Oduola Adedayo.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's nice to be here, and I want to stand on the existing protocol that has been established, and I will want to appreciate the ESN leadership for giving me this opportunity to present this plenary, and I want to crave your indulgence. My talk is going to be a bit different, maybe different from the way it has been we've talked about beneficial insects. But what I'll be talking about, I will not actually be talking about the insects. I'll actually be talking about the people who manage the insects. And that's what I'll focus on. And you'll see that identifying gaps and strengthening the capacity of Nigerian entomologists for effective and sustainable control of vector-borne diseases. I have a bias for malaria, and quite a number of topics or things I'll be alluding to will be those that I've directly worked with and things that I presently handled or have handled in the last 5-6 years. Yes. So thank you for giving me this opportunity. Next slide, please. So when we're looking at the theme of this second Annual Entomology Society, I looked at it and I was able to summarize that. We're looking at the entomologists. It talks about the role of insects. How rather want to look at the entomologist. If the entomologist is very fine, he won't be able to look at those insects. And it's good that, because all those things are complementing those who have spoke about the insects. So let's talk about the entomologist and what the entomologist can to contribute to the country. What are the expectations? What are the expectations from an entomologist during endemic or pandemic? One of the key words that we'll see during this presentation, during this thing, is the pandemic. Next slide. And I would like to say the pandemic is over, but we still have malaria being what? Endemic. And if you look at, malaria is just one of the tropical diseases, vector-borne diseases that we have. And you know, if you look at this figure, it talks about the number of deaths that was witnessed during the COVID-19 2020. And you will see that on different parts of the world, Africa seems to be the worst hit. But if you look around 2019, 2020, you will see that there's a decline. And these are the deaths that are from malaria. So in terms of the reduction, achievement, improvement that has been made from 2000 up to 2019, you see during the COVID, you have a resurgence. If you look at the last number, 2020, you see an increase. So COVID really had an impact on malaria. But what are those things that we have to learn? Next slide, please. Now, if you look at this one as well, too, he talked about the COVID-19 cases, deaths across the WHO. And we are looking at the number of deaths in thousands. Africa has the lowest. But the previous slide is not the same. But there's so much emphasis on COVID, even rather than malaria. Malaria is endemic, is with us. But COVID came as an epidemic and resulted into what we call endemic now. It's at the level that is being managed. Next. Now, if you look at it, epidemic, just as I'm presenting it, is an outbreak that affects many people at one time and can spread to several communities. But epidemic, it has to do with what? Infectious disease due to a sudden rise of cases, usually from an infectious agent, or the change in status of an existing pathogenic agent. Now, once epidemic becomes global and affects a large percentage of population, it becomes pandemic when it moves across different sites. And the term pandemic is used to describe the rate of the spread. That's what we have in COVID-19. And all the things we're looking at COVID has overshadowed our effort, all the effort that are in place in malaria control. And therefore, during that 2019-2020, from that chart, you would see that because efforts were placed more on COVID-19 at the detriment of malaria control, we started having increase in malaria cases as well. Next. So I've just brought this to let you see what the pattern of infection, what number of infection looks like during an epidemic situation. It rises, but as immunity starts getting built up in individuals, it comes to an endemic point, and that's the point where we actually have malaria. So what would rather be our focus? Should our focus be on the epidemic that comes with huge noise, huge mortality, and we're losing front on malaria, which we have been trying to manage. So we will see that the endemic period extends for a longer time than the COVID-19, and that's where our focus will be, because that's the focus where malaria is. It has remained with us. It doesn't spike like COVID spiked, but constantly it's killing and there's mortality. Next slide, please. And can you go back, please? Oftentimes, these are academic environments, you see this and say, malaria is a major public health. We see it several times in many journals. And we even know that Nigeria has the highest burden of malaria. And therefore, what we're saying is that let's focus on our vector-borne diseases as well. It's interesting that this is the Entomology Society of Nigeria, and quite a number of things that we're talking about will be for us to reassure, to reevaluate what we do and how that can solve vector or improve or reduce the burden of vector-borne diseases. Next. So, when we look at vector-borne diseases and we're looking at contributions of insects, we may not find so many insects that have been involved in pandemics, but there are cases. Places like the US where they had Brazil, where they had Zika virus, and it was viral. But most of the things that we have are mainly tropical diseases that are not viral in nature, but they are staying with us. So historically, we don't have that, but we know that insects, entomologists are the ones that are responsible for those other arthropods that are involved in disease transmission. That's why this society is so important, because we don't only look at the insects, we look at other arthropods as well too that are involved, and that's because it's still within our body. So what is the role of environmental health officers? What is the role of community extension workers, nurses, medical doctors? Now, at broad historical, how do we relate with epidemics, endemics? Now, in a situation where we have pandemic, what comes to our mind? If you look at these categories of staff, categories of workers, it's usually the medical doctors that comes to mind. Hardly do we think about, hardly do we ask ourselves, do entomologists have a role to play? And that's because most of those pandemics are not entomology related. But we have vector-borne disease that lies within our portfolio that we can contribute. And those are the areas that we need to start exerting our influence, to start supporting. And that's why I'm looking at how do we see ourselves as contributing. Next slide. Yeah, I don't want to spend too much time on this, but we know that vectors are life forms of arthropods or that transmit pathogens that affect human. Next slide, please. Now, if you look at this timeline, I got this online and it looked at from 541 to up to 2019. If you look at it closely, you'll possibly be able to find a 541 where you have flea. And flea, that's closest into arthropods that is involved in what do you call it, in viral transmission. But most of it are vertebrates, fleas, bats, and those things don't. And this may be one of those things that make us look away as entomologists that doesn't concern us. Next slide, please. So, but within vector-borne disease, there is a triad. And you can see the host, the pathogen, the environment. And there's an interplay that makes us to see that, look, disease situation have 3 dimensions. When it is in a vector that transmits it, the host is affected, and the environment. And just as I said the other time, there must be an interaction between these components in order for us to have an effective and sustainable vector-borne disease control. And it's something that goes beyond individuals. And you see on the second slide here, on the second bullet, you see Federal Ministry of Health, Federal Ministry of Agriculture, Rural Development. And that's because quite a number of these vectors, they are breeding in the society, in the environment. Who looks at them in the environment, if not an entomologist? The focus is that when there's a disease situation, we look more at the medical profession. And yet we know that prevention is always what? Better than what we call it, cure. So at the preventive level, how do we exert ourselves as entomologists? And so these accounts tell us that, look, we need to resolve that the cross-cultural cooperation that is required, and entomologists need to do what? Play their role. I'll be worked, next slide please. These are the global burden of diseases, and you will see those ones that insects are involved in: malaria, African trypanosomiasis, lymphatic filariasis, dengue fever. These ones are transmitted by mosquitoes, and we see those ones transmitted by ticks there. You see tsetse fly. This shows that vector-borne diseases, because there are quite a number of them affecting us in the tropical part of this world. They are what? As a result of some of these vectors. Now, next slide. Next, please. So, with the huge burden of vector-borne disease do we have a critical mass of well-trained public health entomologists? I call them the same thing as medical entomologists. Do we have that critical mass to influence vector control decisions? I've been opportune to work with them at the local government, the state, and also at the federal ministry. And oftentimes I found that I've had to work with people who have no background in entomology, but they have always seen entomology as, is it not insect? What is so special about them? The bulk of their intervention, they feel, lies more in the hospital. There was even a time we went to meet a VC, and we were talking about malaria. He said, what does mosquitoes have to do with malaria? That look, the bulk of the work they do in the teaching hospital, not in any department in the university. So they are not aware that there's a zoologist, there's an entomologist who can prevent, protect. So, and if we don't see ourselves like that, it's different for them to actually appreciate that. And so when you see from local government, state, and federal ministry of health, oftentimes it will be very difficult for you to find a trained entomologist, and that's where the decision for malaria control is being implemented in the country. So this is just a wake-up call to make us see that there are opportunities. But how do we exert ourselves as well as to put ourselves in the stream of decision-making in the country? How do we position ourselves as a society to bridge this gap and provide solutions? How does society prepare entomologists for careers in public health? Mainly because we do not have a BSc public health entomology. Mainly because when you train as entomology, if you don't end up in the, in research institute or as a lecturer, you hardly can find jobs. And those things are shaping how people work and where they work. So we know that as a society, we need to encourage this unity, considering the fact that we know the impact of this profession in controlling those vector-borne diseases that we are highlighting. You agree with me that we have the body of vector-borne diseases in the country. Then what are our plans, what platforms have we floated to ensure that we have, and being careful, You could get a degree in entomology, but you may not actually have that training that helps you to make decisions. And except you create those things, it becomes difficult for you to contribute, and most times you're relegated to make you feel that, look, entomology is not the main thing. The main thing is chemotherapy, the main thing is pharmacology, the main thing is, it's like that. Next slide, please. So this is just a capacity building outcome we did some time ago, and we're trying to find out malaria vector surveillance control in different parts of the country. And so these were the people that applied. And we found out there were more people from the southwest of the country than the other geoecological zones. And we may be able to relate with some of these, the outcomes that we begin to see in this presentation. Next, please. Now, we also looked at the previous access of those people that were shortlisted for that training. We were trying to find out how exposed they were when it comes to tools that is being used in public entomology. And we just said, what's your involvement with exit light traps? Exit light traps is a trap that is used in entomology, public health entomology. And we look at it, most of them, do you understand me, said no. And if you look, can we bring that down, please? 5, 4, and can I look at this exclude site, please? Yes, please. Where we have the total salvation. Yes, okay. 100% no of them have not used exit light traps. So if you have from within the universities those that were selected for the training and they have not used it, how do you want them to graduate to the outside there and be able to support? So we asked a number of other questions as well, and you will see that the response was very slow, was very low. And so this actually led us to see that, look, that training, that technique is not really within the curriculum that helps somebody to come out as a public entomologist. Next slide, please. So, next we can. That's the. We went ahead to do a summary of, we tried to find out on a particular problem, which is sexual resistance, to find out between 1956 and 2018 to see, let's see where we can get information. And we're able to pull those data. And for we will see that even from 1970, apart from 1956, you'll see we have it from northwest and southwest of the country. And that is quite explainable for those who are who are familiar with medical entomology. That there used to be a World Health Organization station in Kaduna, and there used to be another one in Lagos. And so those were institutions that were driving studies of medical entomology. And by 2018, we have incidences of people carrying out activities. So there's quite improvement. Next slide, please. Now, I try to look forward and see, look at the agricultural entomology and medical entomology. I was trying to dig and find out at what point, if you have entomology, why do you have a tilt that there's a preference for a particular entomology rather than the other? And there are two publications that I saw, Adeshimu 2015 and Balogun 2015. And next slide, please. And those things captured those influencing factors that influence career. And I see that this played a lot in where do you go when you go to study in school, maybe you study zoology. You are likely to be influenced, different perception of your role models, personality, interests or passions, taste of people you move around with, then your previous work experience, economic and social conditions, prevailing economic and social issues, then the financial aspect as does he have money? Will I make money? Where will I get job? I was excited when I saw the quarantine, woman from quarantine coming to present. Those are few organizations that you can be able to point to and say, if I graduate as an entomologist in zoology, I can work with. So those things, when you have them around, you are likely, your professors are likely to influence you. If your professors are like entomologists, you are likely to drift that way. What I'm saying is that we need to create a culture that allows public health entomology to grow within the society so that we can have people who can contribute effectively to the mental burden that we are suffering in the country. Next. From those two publications, I saw that there was a social interaction created by the establishment of the society, ESN. And two names featured, Department of Zoology, University of Ibadan, and Department of Agric Biology. And that's where it started. And I looked at the background of those family fathers and found out that they have passion more for agricultural entomology. Now, I don't have anything against that because I also passed through it. I'm the product of agric biology. My first degree was in agric biology. I left agric biology. I went to do my master's in zoology because I wanted to focus on insects of medical importance. So I'm a hybrid of the two, and that makes me very different. My perspective is very different from possibly, if I've been in agriculture, I will talk more about agricultural entomology. But we have a society here, and we have a body in the country. We need to cultivate that environment that helps people to find career and find fulfillment. Next slide, please. So, in terms of institutions, I looked through. When I first graduated, I was like, where will I get a job? And I was like, there were institutions that were very impressive to me at that time. I've used the IIT library, and I used to dream that I'll become a scientist there because those environments, everything were there. I know I wrote unsolicited application to Green, NISPRI, IITA, Forestry Research, because they had units of entomology that I could relate with. And that's the role. But when you look at public health, you don't find too much around those places. And there are some institutions that came up, NITA, Nigerian Institute of Medical Research, and in recent time we have the NCDC. But if you have taken time to look through, the only one I've not looked through is more of NITA. I wouldn't know if they are the critical mass of entomologists in NITA, because I know this trypanosomiasis. But something that helps us, we need to sit down as a society and look at all these areas and see how we can culture it very well so that we can solve the problem that we have in the next slide, please. So in terms of need for public health entomologists, it is what is needed. We need it. We don't have a curriculum. There's no basic degree within public health entomology. And that's the truth. We need that because it is a specialized field. It is a field that helps you to understand the vector behavior, the ecology, for you to be able to make an effective decision. So, I've said that within local government state, I've found it difficult to actually come across people who are trained in those areas. Next slide. So, in terms of what are lessons from pandemic to medical entomologists, we know there's workforce replacement. We need to think ahead and create a platform for us to have public health entomologists. Then the curriculum is absent. We have academia here. What do we do about this area? Except we find out that it's not relevant. But with what we know in the country, we need just go to the disease desk in the Federal Ministry of Health. It will be difficult for you to come across somebody. And if you're not talking about entomology, every other thing is curative. You must look at the protection. How do you quantify the risk of transmission? It is an entomologist that should be able to quantify the risk of you living in a place. What's the risk of this staying at Galway compared to Lagos? Those are quantifiable risks. The entomology inoculation rate is calculated by an entomologist. And so if we are unable to quantify those things, how do we want to advise in the country? So these are things we learned. Those also, COVID made significant funding available. I don't think we should have COVID all the time. But the truth remains that we need funding even for this area as well too. Then in terms of digital deployment of tools, we need those things that helps you to be able to pick up data from the field and take it to where decisions are made. Those are the things we need to look into. So I'm raising this up because I know we have academia. I want us to think over it and see how we can make this work to to improve the capacity and strengthen entomologists, public health entomology in Nigeria. Next. So in terms of strengthening efforts, I just quickly want to look at what PMI Evolve has been able to do. We have been able to train, we've been able to equip labs in several universities in the country and also provide skills that helps them to do some basic things that can guide decision making so that they can translate such data and use it for decision making. Yes, next please. So this is just a collage of activities that are carried out. And this capacity is actually built within the university system where we have found those training to be lacking. Next. So these are the universities that we work with, about 16 of them, with 2 research institutes. Then we have the NLNG that we work with. They are on the drive for malaria elimination on that island. So we provide technical support for them to be able to carry out those activities. Next slide, please. So we'll also be able to provide a guidance that helps the country to have a uniform protocol that helps them. So somebody who is working in Kaduna will be using the same protocol with somebody working in Bayelsa. And therefore you can have results that can be compared together and make decisions. Because you recognize that because there's no central training, people use different protocols. And it's difficult to interpret that to make national decisions. So this is just one of those things that was carried out. Next. So we know what works in the country. We talk about next. We know what insecticide works. And this has been possible because of our ability to build capacities within university institutions. And therefore, you don't have to go around, you just get results from those people. And we have that map. And these are the possibilities that can be exploited and make entomology stronger in this country. Noise, you need to make noise about some of these activities. But if you don't own it, it's difficult for you to put this as part of the achievement. So that balance needs to be created. We need to bring that component back and see how we can strengthen the society with some of these activities. Yes, please. Next. I think I'll move well. Yes. So, not only that we know what works, we know that one of the encounters I've asked questions, they asked me that, what's the difference between mosquitoes in Kaduna and the ones in Ebonyi? But from those analyses, you can see there's a variation in their responses to different insecticides that are used in vector control. So it's difficult for you to just say, go and buy deltametry insecticide and distribute across the country. Because mosquitoes from those different parts of the country will respond differently. But this can only be done because you have someone who is regularly trained to actually generate that data. Next slide, please. And not only that we have those new nets, maybe some of us don't even know that we have new nets. But we have a new net that is different from what was used before. We used to have standard net that is treated with just one single insecticide. But today we have combinations. Deltametrin with PPO, you have alpha-sapometrin with chlorphenidil. Those are the results, those are the things that came out of these studies that was carried out across the country. Next slide. So we know that those things work, and we have been able to do an evaluation to see that those new nets were reducing malaria burden more than the standard nets. And this is just what we need to drive some of those things. What am I saying is that there's need for us to provide access to tools, to equipment, and also to provide training, provide a curriculum that can drive vector control in the country. And those are the areas that I want us to start thinking about next. So if you look at this, this was just brought out of the evaluation. We'll see pre-PPO intervention and post. And you see that in terms of biting rates, in terms of outdoor biting rate, in terms of indoor resting density, when those new nets were introduced, it reduced significantly. And you will see that if these studies were not carried out, we'll just be using the standard nets. And we'll just be doing, it's just a normal thing, let's just use it. Thank you. Next. So in tools now, next slide, we have data being collected right from the community, and you can begin to see it at the national level, where decisions are being made. These are the things that the PMI evolved has been supporting the National Malaria Education Program with. So somebody collecting data from the field, that data can be seen by somebody at the Federal National Malaria Education Program. But the gap still remains in the fact that you need somebody who understands that data to be at those points to be able to make those decisions. So these are trainings that have been conducted to train people on the use of those digital tools. These are morphological identification skills provided, which is lacking. And you see this person, gentleman, was working in the community. You can see the mud wall just beside it. The collections is doing that identification there. So some of these are possibilities. There's things that can work. You just need to be able to drive all these activities. Yes, next. So we know what diversity of malaria vectors are in the country. Next slide, please. So, before, we were not having much. But today, if you look at this map, in all those places where you have points, we have people who have been trained, who can support at that level. We can support the state in decision-making, generation of data. This is the power, this is the tool that I think we need to harness together and hold as a society. So, compared to what we were having before, you now have 28 sites in the country where you have people that have been trained, provided with tools to actually support malaria this time around. So this can be replicated for some other vector-borne diseases as well too. Next slide, please. I think I'm rounding up this. So the concluding remarks, today 7 Nigerians are dealing with locations with quantified risk. What is our role? How do we leverage on our strength to support and identify entomology-related vector-borne disease risks, and coordinate and quantify those risks? Also source of funds to do what? To implement training and to improve the skills of members. And most importantly, implement interventions that are evidence-based. Not just interventions that we think this is what will work, but introducing interventions that will have data, national data, data beyond, that goes across regions, that can be able to meet the needs of specific regions within the country. Thank you for listening.
Thank you very much, Dr. Oduola. We appreciate your talk. Very beneficial. I'm sure a lot of us have taken a few points home. And I know you are going to have a number of questions you would like to ask Dr. Oduola. So kindly note down the questions so that when it's question time, you can ask those questions. But because of time, we will not want to ask the questions immediately. Now let's go to the next paper. The next paper is supposed to be delivered by Professor Agbide. Is he here? Is he here? Okay. The title of the paper is Achieving Food and Social Security Through Insect Science. Professor Agbide.
I'm standing in for him.
Professor Manuel Lekotu is actually representing Professor Agbide, who could not be here. Of course, we want to read the citation of Professor Agbide, and that will be done. We'll start like this. We'll say, yes. Right, Dr. Mrs. Banjo.
Thank you, sir. Good afternoon. I'm here to read the citation of Professor Francis Sawan Agbide. Professor Agbide was born to the family of late Mr. Peter Agbide and Mrs. Sarah Agbide, Queen of Mbaliogo, Vande Kalu government area of Benue State on the 15th of August 1960. He obtained his first school leaving certificate from the Macam Nation Senior Primary School, UK, Bacteria, and BPA local government building, and proceeded to Government Secondary School, Togo, Benue State, where he obtained his O-level certificate. From his university education, he attended the University of Ibadan and obtained BSc in agriculture, agri biological protection option with second class upper division. It was at the University of Ibadan, again from 1991 to 1992, where he obtained MSc in agricultural entomology. He obtained his PhD in forest entomology from the Federal University of Technology, Akure, Ondo State, Nigeria, in 2008. Working career. Professor Abidiye has worked in many institutions, among which are agricultural science teachers and so on. He has contributed to the university community as the head of the Department Forest, Production and Products, University of Agriculture, Makurdi, and so on. Professor Abidiye is a member of the Professional Association, which includes Entomological Society of Nigeria, member Forest and Forest Products, Society of Nigeria, and so on. He has professional and national studies as well. And Professor Abidiye is married, is happily married to Mrs. Tabitha Abidiye, and marriage is blessed with children. I hereby present to you Professor Abidiye.
Learning it for my dear friends who somehow, as he was preparing for this, his twins got admitted in hospital, and they were in hospital for about a week. They just discharged just before I came. So he tried to scribble this together. I want to, my name is Amana William. I'm from the same university, and we're classmates. Now, achieving food security and food and social security through insect science. In the course of our program today, a lot of emphasis has been placed on entomophagy, and that's what this paper is about. And somehow, from our cultural settings, from our different backgrounds, entomophagy is well known, but somehow, I think it's not just been encouraged, it's not been given the needed attention. That's what this paper tries to encourage. The basic needs of man and planet is obviously food, shelter, and clothing, of which food is one of the most important, and this places a heavy responsibility of government at different levels. You need to follow this through. We define food security and social security. According to 1996 World Food Summit, food security is when all people at all times have physical and economic access to sufficient, safe, and nutritious food that meets their dietary needs and food preferences. Dietary needs and food preferences for an active and healthy life. While social security is a protection that the society provides for individuals and households, so as to help them have access to healthcare and to guarantee income security, particularly in cases of old age, unemployment, sickness, invalidity, work injury, maternity, or loss of a breadwinner. FAO has done a lot on entomophagy, and According to FAO 2030, the world will host about 9 billion people by the year 2050. And this obviously creates a need for increased food production. Protein and other nutritional deficiencies are typically more widespread in disadvantaged segments of the society and during times of social conflict and natural disasters leading to food and social insecurity. So protein deficiency is one main focus. Nigeria, a major sources of food, pork, beef, shelgon fish, poultry, and so on. But to address the challenge of food and social insecurity, there's a need to find alternative animal protein sources and other ways of growing food. That's where insects come in. Let's go. A lot of benefits can be derived from insects by man, and one of it is meeting our nutritional needs, because they offer cheap, efficient opportunity to counter nutritional and social insecurity, and they provide emergency food, improve livelihoods and the quality of our traditional diet. And edible insects fit this perfectly. Let's go. So the practice of eating insects, as I said earlier, is known as entomophagy, and this started as far back as 7,000 years ago. And the earliest sighting, you and I know, is John the Baptist, who ate locusts in the desert. Yeah. Let's go. Edible insects are very important food resource, playing crucial roles in human diets, particularly making diets more balanced and palatable. Entomophagy is a food resource that ramifies both primitive and contemporary food traditions. And there's been an increasing scientific attention on entomophagy because of its importance in the context of food security, poverty alleviation, and indigenous knowledge, particularly among rural communities. It is highly influenced by cultural and religious practices. Cultures in which the use of insects as food is traditional, the insects are highly prized and more sought after, not just used to ward off starvation. They are incorporated as a regular part of the diet when it's season or throughout the year if they are available. The proportionally small quantitative contribution of insects to diet compared with foods of plant origin has been undoubtedly been dictated primarily by limited supplies rather than by any form of deficiency. Careful studies have been conducted, and a lot of it. Careful studies have been conducted. The volume of insects consumed as a percentage of a total animal protein has been shown to be appreciated. In Colombia, South Africa, a lot of insects such as Conimbracia bellina. I think it's a moth, a very popular moth in Southern Africa. The mopane worms, and they are highly cherished and consumed there. Yes, let's go, my brother. So this paper focuses on one, the role played by FAO in promoting edible insect consumption worldwide. It lists the major edible insect species, how they are processed, the nutritional value, the social security that they provide, and the challenges that edible insect consumption, the challenges faced in edible insect consumption. It also presents recommendation. As earlier said, FAO has done a lot in trying to promote entomophagy. And the contributions cover the following area: that to generate and share knowledge from different publications, arrange meetings, and FAO also has a web portal on edible insects. See, FAO is also trying to raise awareness on the role of insects using the media. It has supported member countries through a number of field projects and also supported networking and multidisciplinary interactions with various sectors. Then, it's okay, let's go. One major contribution is that of the Central African study documenting the role of caterpillar. There's a lot of literature out there trying to document the role of caterpillars in Central Africa. One is a non-wood forest product program of the FAO, which initiated a review in 2003 to describe the contribution of edible insects to diet. There are also 4 case studies and many other studies that were commissioned in Central Africa with emphasis on the Congo Basin. Then there is also the report on the contribution of forest insects to food security and the example of the caterpillars in Central Africa. Then there are also summary and conclusions of publication. Summary and conclusion on publication that were taken up in the Overseas Development Institute Wildlife Policy briefing. Let's go. Then FAO was involved with the Chiang Mai conference in Thailand. The FAO regional office in Asia organized a workshop on forest insects as food. And the focus is how humans buy back. It brought together many world experts on entomophagy, and it focused specifically on science, management, collection, harvesting, processing, marketing, and consumption of edible forest insects. And the procedures of the workshop were aimed to raise awareness of the potential of edible insects as a food resource. Yes, that's good. Then there is this Lao Technical Cooperation. It was between 2010 and 2013 where it implemented a technical cooperation project among the Lao People's Democratic Republic. The project is an immediate response to several interventions identified in the Lao People's Democratic Republic National Nutrition Strategy and National Plan of Action for Nutrition, which was finalized and endorsed in December 2009, and it namely improving nutrient intake and addressing underlying causes. The project also focused on strengthening the existing role of insects as complementary food in local diets, giving attention to the role of traditional insect collecting in the wild, and enhancing sustainability of soil safety and efficiency of insect collection, preparation, post-harvest, processing and consumption, as well as expanding insect farming. Yeah. Then there is this FAOWR. I've been seeing this name. I've been calling it Wangeningi. I found that they call it Vatningen. It's a university that has been involved so much in agricultural research. The university, together with FAO, initiated a collaborative effort to promote entomophagy. First, there was a policy note. Then second, the note outlined the long-term strategies of the FAO. And 2 researchers and authors present of the publication worked at the FAO for several months, and they came up with a bibliography of who is who in entomophagy. The writing also presented publication. The writing of the present publication commenced along 4 edible insects, which were future prospect of food and food security, the preparation for conceptualization and holding an international expert consultation in January 2012. Let's go, my brother. Then there's this expert consultation meeting, also arranged by the 57 experts from international agencies, scientific institutions, and private sector stakeholders. Together with staff from relevant FAO disciplines were involved with it. Let's go. Then there is this FAO web portal, which has maintained, it's a web portal on edible insects, and has been there since 2010. It's there. Let's go, my brother. Then, the common edible insect species consumed all over the world. A number of them we know we're very familiar with, but it's just that we have this mindset about them, so we don't really give them attention. I mean, the young people in my house, I was brought up to love termites. We asked them to go and put water under light to collect. They'll be posing for you. But when you fry, they will eat. The issue of entomophagy is about mindset. You have a generation that insect, and that's ignorant, not knowing the nutritional value of insects. Most edible insects have protein level of more than 50%. More than 50%. Examples are the beetles, caterpillars, bees, wasps, and grasshoppers, locusts, crickets, and so on and so forth. Termites, let's go. The most popular edible insect in the tropics is the palm weevil, Rhicophorus. I want to believe that we know it is very fat larvae. Some eat it raw, but some process it. Then we talked about the mopane caterpillar. Is Gimbracia. I think that's an error. Gimbracia bellina. As the most popular in Southern Africa. Then we have Serena foda, which Professor Bidi worked on. His PhD was on Serena foda. It's very common in Benue. I don't know which other states that we can find it, but it's a delicacy in Benue. Let's go, my brother. And then we have termites and a number of others listed here. Next slide. As a protein source, caterpillars from butterflies and moths are consumed by several tribes across the world. Adenuton and Bada also reported the consumption of the larvae of the African silkworm by the people of Ondo State. Yes, let's go. Insects, the processing of insects, it actually depends on the people group, depends on a lot of factors. Some are fried, some are roasted, some are dried, they are smoked, depending on how the people like it. So no matter how crudely done, it helps in minimizing post-harvest losses. Processing remove toxins and help facilitate, because that freshness is not there anymore. They can easily be packaged. Yes. Aquino, that is pronounced correct, reported that raw extract of Serena foda had toxic effects on rats compared to the processed one. Just to tell you the importance of processing. The unprocessed one was found to be toxic, while the processed one, it's not. They also reported that total serum protein and globulin levels were significantly higher in controls and those fed processed extracts than those that were fed to the raw extract. Let's go. Then the other reports by Agbidi and Nongo on how the chief people process their own. Then the trapped larvae are collected and stored in pitfall. The photographs are there. The larvae are parboiled and sun-dried for marketing. Yeah. Let's go. Yeah, this is, here, it's how it is processed in Benue. It is, there are these excavated pits at the base where they are trapped from these pits are dug around the tree, and this larvae, they are trapped there. Yeah. Let's go. Let's next slide. The top ladder and the pit. Okay, these are examples of the larvae trapped in the pit. Let's go. Next slide. Next slide. This is boiling of the larvae. They are sun-dried. Yep. Then let's look at the nutritional value of edible insects. That's very important. This will help you and I to drive and to mofagi. They are very nutritious. The nutritional value is highly variable because of the wide range of edible insect species, metamorphic stage, habitat, and diet. For example, the composition of unsaturated omega-3 and 6 fatty acids in mealworms is comparable to that which you find in fish. And the protein, vitamin, mineral content of mealworm is similar to what we find in fish and meat. Let's go. Next slide. It is also important to know that insects are high in protein, energy, and various vitamins. The nutritional qualities are reported by Ajayi, Adediri, and a number of them listed there. Crickets contain 9 essential amino acids. Crickets include, there's this part of Kogi, Angpa area. They call it Angpa chicken. It's very found abundant there. They contain 9 essential amino acids, making them a complete protein source when compared to other forms of animal protein. Next slide. Some of them contain zinc, copper, iron, magnesium, calcium, manganese, phosphorus, and selenium. For example, Konkoni reported 50% crude protein in 40 insect species. Some, and the range, some can be as high as 82. Then the Dophalia reported that there is high zinc, thiamine, and riboflavin in Macrothermis and Rhynchophorus. It further reported that 100 grams of insect in each provides more than the daily requirement. Yes. Next slide. The quantity and quality of proteins, lipid, vitamins, minerals, and calories present in edible caterpillars are comparable. I think that point has been made, are comparable to that of fish, lamb, pork, chicken, and so on and so forth. You can find as high as 70% daily protein in a particular insect. Yes, my brother, very good. It's still the same point we made. Next slide. Now, insect and social security. Considering the popularity of edible insects, it is not surprising that the scores of species have been and are prominent items of commerce in our city. Many depend, when they're in season, is a source of, many depend on it and the marketing. So it's a major commerce product in some parts of Africa, Zimbabwe, South Africa, and so on and so forth. So we find that some get a lot of social benefits from it. Their means of livelihood depends on it. Let's go. Next slide. In the West African nation of Niger, it is not uncommon to find grasshoppers, not just even in northern Nigeria, where in Borno State in particular. In South Africa, we talked about the golden grasshopper, Belina, the mopane moth, and a lot of others. A lot depend on it. For as many as 5,050 kg bags of dry mopane worms sell at a rate of 120 to 150 rand per gram, per 50 kg in some parts of Botswana. Next slide. The key point here is that a lot of it depends on it for their means of livelihood. In Mexico, it has been reported that food insects are not only prominent in the marketplace of the rural towns and villages, but some are sold in the finest restaurants. And a lot of it, as we've said, termites and so on and so forth, are processed here. Next slide. This is dry serena fodder in the market. Yes, let's go. Yeah, in the marketplace. Okay, next slide. Gap is still in the marketplace in both Plenary Street. This is a cricket. This is how it is sold at the marketplace. And within this period, a lot of parents send their children out to go collect them, and they make a lot of money from it. As of 7 years ago, this was going for about maybe 500 naira per stick. I don't know what it is now. Yeah, let's go. These are termite textile. Now, the challenges. Number one, identifying the correct edible insects. Number two is that there's a lot of habitat destruction, and we're losing a number of them. Next slide. Then there are also safety considerations. Indiscriminate spraying of insecticide, and you will never know what you are eating. There is also the challenge of limited supply because they are seasonal. Then inadequate awareness of the benefits of edible insects. Quite a lot of people that talked about edible insects here today, you find out that they know these things, and they used to know it in their village. That not knowing that it can replace our edible protein, it can replace our meat, our beef, our chicken, and co if it's given the needed attention. Let's go. Now, the point has been made that edible insects have the potential of addressing man's food and social security needs, nutritional and social. This is evidenced by the rich nutritional qualities of the vast species of edible insects that are consumed all over the world. It's very obvious that they have a high level of protein. So most of them above 50%. But the challenge faced, as we earlier said, that of identification, supply, safety consideration, and a number of them that are listed. These challenges must be addressed before entomophagy will take its proper place in addressing the food and social food challenges of human development. A lot has been said, all of it, the recommendations are all tied to the conclusion. Issue of the challenge of deforestation, what can be done, establishing plantations to host edible insects, and a lot that are listed there. I think I've done the much that I can. God bless you. Thank you.
Once again, a round of applause for Professor Amanda Ogechuku for that sound delivery on behalf of Professor Aluge. I want to do something now before we invite the last guest speaker, who is one of our newly inducted fellow. We want to take questions, contributions with regards to paper one, because the resource person will have to be still want to go to some other places. So after we have done that in the next maybe 5 or 10 minutes, then we cannot take the last paper, then and conclude. But to do justice to that matter is our chairman. Our chairman will just make 1 or 2 comments on the summary of what he has presented. Then if we have any question or contribution we can make on the paper one, identifying the gaps and strengthening the capacity of Nigerian entomologists for effective and sustainable control of entomological diseases. Thank you, sir.
That was also another interesting subject, edible insects. Of course, we know the point was made that at this time we need more of edible insects in view of the high cost of other sources of protein. Thank you very much. And like the LOC chairman indicated, we need to get your questions and comments with respect to the first paper, because the presenter will need to leave now. So let us do that in the next 5-10 minutes. So let's have the questions now. Maybe we'll take about 7 questions.
Yes, I've seen number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4. It's okay. We just stop there for just brief one, please. Just comment within few seconds, please. Not a lecture again, please. Number one.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Udo Kawaru from the Oka branch. I want to thank Dr. Bola for the wonderful presentation. I also want to, it's more of a comment, because PMI has actually changed malaria intervention in Nigeria to evidence-based intervention. I can remember, I think, please let us give them a round of applause. I remember a few years ago where NET was just distributed in Nigeria based on just umbrella approach. Everybody, what the NET is distributed. But now, across the country, it is based on what evidence generated locally from a particular location that determines what happens in that locality. So I think a lot of kudos to PMI. Thank you, Dr. Dora, for that. I want to say this, maybe not to you, but to the general house. Now we are talking about malaria vectors and malaria. But I know that in the presentation, I saw vector-borne diseases. Nigeria is also endemic for a lot of arboviruses that are transmitted by the sister to Anopheles, which is Aedes. And it is spread across the length and breadth of this country. How can we support those working in that field of endeavor to ensure that we are actually looking at vector-borne diseases generally and not just the Anopheles? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Doc, for your presentation. My name is Elise Gideon from Oka Enugu Abakaliki branch. My question is on the deployment of digital tools for data capture and analysis. I've been privileged to serve under PMI for at least 4 years as a technician. And from the experience, recently we had a meeting in preparation for NUC accreditation. And it occurred to me that in the department, they have only one dissecting microscope that is not too functional. So when the issue came up, just like the experience you had, you shared with us, of a principal officer in the university that said, why Anopheles, these things are done in the hospital. My head told me there are other microscopes. And I said, yes, there are, but for you to identify an insect properly, you need a dissecting microscope. It was at the departmental level, I'm not in the team, that decides what happens at the end of the day. Now, having profiled such little solution, and you are not in the team that will deploy those equipment, what can be done to ensure that these digital tools, as simple as the dissecting microscope, can be profitable, bearing in mind that it doesn't come cheap? Thank you.
Thank you. Doctor is the country director. Before it goes, maybe we release 100 dissecting microscope to you.
Good day. My name is Dr. Meka Siu. I'm from Nigeria Cultural Quarantine Service. Mine is more like a comment or an observation. The speaker was talking about when there's a disease outbreak, the first thing that comes to mind is the hospital, the medical hospital. So I just want to say that there's a change right now in that approach. There's one health concept whereby it's a tripartite kind of system where you have animal component, human component, and the environment. And I think the entomologists can key into the environment aspect of it by making themselves very much available there, because it's there already for any disease management right now. Thank you.
Last, Madam, I'll come to you.
My name is Ronsi. I'm from National Arbovirus and Vector Research. Permit me to stand on the existing protocol. Thank you so much, Dr. Odola. My own is like a kind of observation. When he was speaking, he actually identified gaps that some of us have also noticed, but it's not really clear. The lecture actually now made it clear. But one thing has always been coming to my mind before now. This is my first time in this gathering. Why can't we have entomologists as a cadre? From what it itemize, if you also listen very well, it's like the work of entomologists is being modular. If you study parasitology, zoology, or anything, the cadre that you'll be given in the Federal Civil Service of State is scientific officers. And what entomologist does, there is no any other person, irrespective of your background, or you intentionally come around to learn those things. So I think it is the high time the society should just come around together, know what that needs to be done, so that we could have entomologists cadre properly in the Federal Civil Service and the state government, so that the world of public health entomologists can be well recognized. Thank you.
Well, that's a suggestion, the community drafting